Internet friends, this is one of the most important videos you're ever going to watch. It is 17 minutes. It is China's lithography machine dream shattered. Dutch ASML engineers collectively withdraw by year end. What does that mean? This video, which is linked below, explains all you need to know about the fraud of the current political system we live in. Total fraud. Everything you watch, everything you see, everything you feel, everything you breathe is a total, absolute effing lie. The BRICS, a lie. China as an economic threat, the lie. You've seen the lie of Russia. China's 50 times worse. Nothing works. When you hear about the water in the intercontinental ballistic missiles, that they were filled with water, that's not propaganda. 100% true. 100% true. It's a freaking fraud. It is the Wizard of Oz, the little short man behind the curtain. Pull the curtain back, the whole system is a fraud. Trump is allegedly, with his backers, Department of Defense and the FBI and all the rest, the whole military, industrial, national security apparatus, is allegedly going to pull it all down. That's a multi-decade effort. And then that has to be replaced with something else. All right? It has to be replaced. Sorry, motorbikes going past. I don't know if I'm even going to remove the background sound. It has to be replaced. You see, we all have the dream of what we want the world to be. But that takes effort. Just how the milk gets to the shelf and the bread gets to the shelf and the supply chain for your basic food alone, let alone those high-end technological luxuries with which we communicate right now, which in part has freed us. And of course, the great danger is this system is going to imprison us. We better see over the next 12 months some major changes in outlook. I hope to see it. I really do. I'm going to write to Samsung about that. I said, if I have the camera on, I want the camera left on. I don't need you to turn it off. Anyway, let's quickly watch that video. We'll watch a part of the video, not all of the video. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. There we go. All right. So China's lithography machine dream shattered. That's a terrible title, China Observer. Now, the China Observer is most likely like Radio Free America. It'll be somehow affiliated with a US intelligence service somewhere, but they actually do very good stuff. But this is the first, I swear to God, you've got to watch this video. The entire conspiracy is exposed. The entire fraud of China. Once you understand China's the fraud, then the whole fraud is exposed. You understand the barbarians are inside the gates. They're inside the gates. There's hundreds, if not thousands of them, literally in the government right now. Literally. The whole fraud is shaking. Let's see how the dismantling process goes, because I just hope something better is brought along and not just a different version of the godforsaken AI, semi-autonomous kill vehicle, fully autonomous surveillance vehicle system. We're not going to watch all 17 minutes, but let's watch the major points. You'll grasp it. Remember, ASML is a company in the Netherlands. They too are fake. That was a gift to the Netherlands. Don't get me wrong. It's a very intricate job assembling those machines that make the chips, the high-end chipset. That's very intricate. It's fascinating. You got highly skilled people there. The US couldn't do it because they're all dumbed down. The US was meant to be a country of immigrant, poor effers that just join the army and kill and destroy. That's all America was meant to be. That's why your education system is a joke. They tried to turn you into a service and security economy. You don't manufacture anything. And they were gradually moving your entire high technology industrial base to Israel. The control mechanism, the administrative center. And once you understand that and you get that big picture, everything else, all the details you can fit and impress your friends at cocktail parties at Georgetown how effing clever you are.
Staggering 8 billion euros to procure fewer than 120 advanced immersion DUV lithography machines from Dutch company ASML. On the surface, this seemed like a bold and extravagant move. However, as of September 7th, the reality has turned into a bitter irony. Maintenance and upgrades for these machines are now completely restricted. In other words, starting next year, these state-of-the-art lithography machines could become little more than scrap. To make matters worse, even routine repairs for older equipment are on the table. This has become a punchline in the global.
Now, for those of you who've been around a while, I've said this over and over and over. People in the industry contact me and say, Brendan, it's garbage. Just the fluids, these little blue fluids and fluids you see in those machines, China can't make it. Lubricating fluids. Stuff comes from Korea, it comes from Japan, it comes from the US. All the patents are US patents. Cadence Design, to name just one of these incredible companies you've never heard of, that design the chips via the computer-generated, computer-aided design, and then simulate the chips, although you never have the exact performance of the chip until you've built it. The materials science, it's all in the US. And they can enforce the patent. See, a patent's not much good if you can't enforce the rule set, the patents. And that's what a US $1 trillion military is for. What have I said over and over? The numbers don't matter. The US dollar doesn't matter. It's the US 5th and 6th Fleet. The enforcement of rule sets, the ability to bring down your infrastructure, the ability to destroy your ports, the ability to block supply routes, the ability to block the flow of goods and services. There's only one country that can do that. It's the United States. And you've never heard that in any of these supposed geniuses, economic geniuses that come on the TV. So either I'm a genius or they're morons, liars, and frauds. Which is it? I would love to think I was a genius, but it's not. They are liars, frauds, morons, promoted and coddled and pushed to the front, pushing a bullshit narrative, and God, I hope you've had enough of it.
Conductor industry, highlighting China's costly misstep. Lithography machines are the backbone of semiconductor manufacturing, etching intricate circuits onto silicon wafers. Without proper maintenance and upgrades, these machines, worth tens of millions of euros each, will gradually deteriorate into expensive junk. Producing advanced chips smaller than 14 nanometers will become nearly impossible. Yield rates will plummet, and costs will skyrocket. Even mature processes like 6514 nanometer manufacturing will see declining quality over time. China is watching this critical industry falter with no clear solutions, a situation that is both humiliating and crippling for its ambitions. Some might suggest that China could poach ASML engineers or build its own teams.
That's enough. You watch the 17 minutes yourself, and encapsulated in that 17 minutes, totally encapsulated, is the whole freaking worldwide, gigantic Jewish power political Zionist conspiracy. 500 years in the making in its current form. 500 years, the infiltration of the courts of Europe, those 13 families, the Rothschild, City of London, culminating today in the year 2024 as the world wakes up 2025. As Pluto moves into Aquarius, we're going to see the dismantling of this system. But let me tell you something. If you think just by sending a few links that somehow it's all going to be okay, it's not. Just remember that they have children too. They have children too, even the elite. But remember all the administrators, all the managers that make things work. It's not automated. That's why they're moving towards automation. They've got to get automated systems like just customs and border control. I bet you've never thought of it. Have you seen the new one? If you eye scan and thumbprint and face scan, you just boom, bleep, you just move straight through the doors. There's no one even there at the border control at the airports. This is what they're trying to move into, an AI future of fully autonomous systems so they can get rid of humans out of the system. Because you've got to get people to kill other people, and that is not easy. Killing someone, go and speak to a combat veteran and ask him. Sure, you meet the average functional psychopath. There's a guy who was a sniper. He did like 2 or 3 tours of Vietnam, killed a lot of people, totally unaffected by it. Totally unaffected. Didn't bother him, lived a quiet life, 4 kids, the works. There's a Vietnam era, and then you have people, particularly now, who are genuinely spiritually damaged when you kill someone. And then you 24, 48, 72 hours later, you're out of the combat zone, you've had a shower, and now you're home, and you're meant to relate to your family. How the hell do you relate to your family when you've been in a high-stress PTSD type environment? Well, they know the damage is being done to humans, and that's why they want to go to autonomous. It's hard to get humans to kill for you. So they think, well, we'll bring in 4 to 7 million poor little immigrants who will kill for them. Even then, that's going to be very difficult. Their system is breaking down. They haven't been able to implement it. They have had enormous resistance from the managerial class. They have to constantly infiltrate. They have to constantly compromise. They have to constantly bribe and blackmail full-time, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. That is an unstable system that cannot work, and they've had constant pushback, constant pushback. So please understand that they always want you to think there's nothing stopping this juggernaut. Right? They haven't even got the Federated States of Greater Israel, and the version they're getting is not the one they want. It's going to be a protectorate controlled by the United States. The trouble is this. I'm just curious why we have to have a system whereby you have front and center a common fraudster like Vivek Ramaswamy and an absolute fraudster global village idiot like Elon Musk. You may argue that that is an unfortunate compromise with the system to get it done. After all, they have to take over the system. That includes the Bank of International Settlements in Basel, Switzerland. They have to take over the banking or financial sector. How do you do that? Well, when you're a police officer and you want to take over a criminal gang, you take it over. You don't disband it. You take it over and you get it working for you. You then have your eyes and ears are on the ground and you take it over. If you just destroy the old criminal gang, and you remove yourself from the fight on the battlefield of the streets, then what happens is another criminal gang moves in. But you're not in there. You're not operating at that level spiritually, psychologically, and physically. You're not on that level. So it makes sense to take over the gang. I'm seeing signs that they've taken over the system. That's why Emmanuel Brothers are there. Who do they work for now? Who does Ari Emanuel work for now? You know Arnon Milchan, the spy who got all the nuclear stuff, used to be best friends with Netanyahu and Sarah Netanyahu, the guy that, with the producer, successful Hollywood producer for JFK and a whole bunch of some of them pretty good films. Hopefully with Miramax and Harvey Weinstein, we're going to get some decent movies back. If Harvey's out, at least let him make movies, please. We need some decent movies. But Arnon Milchan doesn't live in, he's lost all his 10-year visas now. He doesn't live in Los Angeles. He doesn't live in America, 10-year visas anymore. He's in London, where they all run to. Isn't that right, Whitney? You going to move to London, were you, Whitney? I just find it physically upsetting to see Jared Kushner, Chabad Lubavitch, and the lunatic Hasidim who have completely infiltrated the US. They've cut the forelocks, they're wearing hippie t-shirts, and they're roaming around in the halls of the NSA and all sorts of places. All right, there were 200 high-level Soviet spies in the US government post-1945, 200 to 300 in highest levels of government. That's when the whole Rosenbergs was brought down, and then they simply transferred that system to Israel completely. Man, there's a long way to go. I just object to what I'm seeing, and I don't want to do a Q, trust the plan, or a B, trust the plan. But you're going to have to hold several different concepts in your head at the same time and enjoy the truck passing loudly. You're going to have to be more sophisticated in your analysis. That means you've got to hold several concepts in your brain at the same time, not quite knowing sure where it's going to go, but keeping a very evil, damned eye on what's going on. Here, a lot of things happen over Christmas, New Year, mind you, too, as people are distracted. So watch out for that as well. But the fraud of China and Russia, have you not seen Russia now? Have you not seen it? You've seen the way they've managed the war with Ukraine with that little rat Zelensky. You see they got rid of the great General Zaluzny. I'd say they're probably going to bring him back after the Ipcris file. They've been holding his eyes open, and NATO is good. Have our bases in Ukraine. As they put them there, and God willing, they're just going to dump all the raving, ultra-Orthodox lunatic Hasidim out of Israel, out of the Middle East, and out of the United States and elsewhere, and dump them in Ukraine. And that's their home, Ukraine. You deal with them. Whatever you do, I don't give a shit what you do with them. I don't care. I don't give a crap. But lock them up in a smart city and put them under surveillance. How about that? Isn't that a good idea? Get them out. And I think that's a very big central role now that Ukraine's going to take. And I think you're all right. A lot of people contacted me and said they're going to set that up. There's this new Israel. I said, well, that's a convenient back end, but that's not the main reason. No, that is the top three. It's in the top three main reasons that war in Ukraine, apart from everything else. Remember, just when I say control Eurasia from Ukraine, well, it's not from Ukraine. It's just a base of operations. That's all. So it doesn't matter who you dump there. The point is the US will extend its power into that region. So now you've seen the fraud of China. You've just had it in 17 minutes. You have had China Observer with 525,000 subscribers. I remember they had 30,000 when I started watching them. I guarantee you it's probably a Radio Free Europe. They're getting funding from the US government. It'll be some CIA front or whatever. But there's about 3 of them and they all do excellent stuff. And if you just watch those 3 channels, you would realize pretty soon the fraud of China. It's falling apart as we speak. China is falling apart as we speak. Completely. Wait for the riots to start. Now, the question will be this: will they free the Chinese people and free that gigantic 1.4 billion or 1.2 or 1.1 or whatever the numbers really are, 1 billion, 800 million market, and allow the Chinese people to be relatively free? It doesn't have to be gun-toting, flag-wrapped patriots, but will they be able to criticize their government without having their organs stolen? Will they have that right? Will our fellow human beings who've suffered under what we would loosely term Western dictatorships, funded, coddled, and created, like the Slavic people, will they get a break? Will they ever get a break after the last 100+ years of shit they've had to go through under these banker-funded tyrannies? The Chinese people, I mean, we just hear statistics and we read it in books, and it's like, oh yeah, 100 million dead, 50 million dead, torture, murder, mayhem, ripped from families, crying children, crying wives, and it's just a statistic, and we're physically and mentally and emotionally unmoved because we live in such relative luxury. The bread's on the shelves, the milk's freely available, so we go about our business. Well, watch out, because 2025 is going to be very interesting. Every year for the last 10 years has been very interesting. But it may well be that US elites are going to give, particularly Americans, but maybe the whole world, a dose of reality. And I'm actually all for it because I got my solar panels up. There was a blackout last night. First time the whole town went dark. And there's my Christmas lights. There's all my lit up like a Christmas tree, my room. Everything working. And I thought, there we go. Yes. Yes. Get some freaking solar panels. They're $150 for a 330 watt panel. Grab them before the tariffs come in. Batteries now for $175 for a 100 amp hour, 12.8 volt battery, lithium iron phosphate. That thing can cycle, that'll last 15 years from 100% to 20% for 15 years. Get 4 of them, make a 48 volt system, $100 controller, and you're free. You've got basic power for your house. Please do it, because you're going to see rolling. It makes sense that they will have rolling blackouts state by state. Just, the Russians did it, the aliens did it, the alien space monkeys, the flying drones did it, whatever they're getting ready for. We may be getting a taste of what it's like not to have power for 3 days. And I told you about the friend in Oklahoma, and it was hot there too. It was in the mid to high 30 degrees in Celsius, 35, 36, 37 degrees Celsius. No aircon, no nothing. People were lining up to get their coffees from McDonald's because they had power. They couldn't charge their phones, didn't have a battery backup system of any kind, didn't even have a simple jackery. I just can't believe in 2025 people do not have basic battery backup systems. And it's big business. I know a lot do, but geez, come on, people. Do you have some rice and some beans? Some frijoles? Some bit of water? I'm still hearing people in America. Are you kidding me? Just have some basics. Toilet paper, just very basic stuff. Because it's highly likely there's going to be rolling blackouts. And you know what? I'm all for it. I want a week. I want you screaming and begging. Oh my God. You got to feel it. Fridge is off. The food's going off. No cold milk. No bread. What are you going to do? And you're going to go, wow, yeah, now I get it. Now I get it. Now I get it. Anyway, good luck. Look, it's not going to be all bad. It's going to be some ups and downs, but yeah, as I scratch my face, no, allergies are bad right now. Allergies are bad. No one's got any excuse now. People have been warned and warned and warned and warned. You are not a crazy prepper to have a decent battery backup system emergency and a stock of food to last a week or two. You don't have to have 8 years worth on a bunker and 20,000 rounds of ammo. Just have some basic stuff. Now, in that video, China's lithography machine dream shattered. In that video, there is the entire conspiracy. But the great danger is Trump continues to be surrounded by the most odious, disgusting, pus-ridden criminals on earth, of which he seems entirely comfortable. Apart from Elon Musk, over the next year, let's see them all gradually disappear and gradually just disappear from the public view, particularly Musk. He's been removed from Tesla and SpaceX while they try to repair all the damage. Hopefully they will open up China and not let it go to any type of manufactured silly war, although that is a possibility. I could see a Cuban Missile Crisis type thing, keep the news cycle going, and you could just keep that going for 6 months to a year. That's a great way to keep that news cycle up. And keep everyone busy and demand more spending on the military-industrial complex. And I have a funny feeling, I hope not, but I have a funny feeling that's what's going to happen. And they may hand Taiwan to China, give Xi a win, but the whole time behind the scenes, they've done a deal. They'll let him live. He's got rid of all his officer class, just like Russia. They've done deals, and we're going to talk about in a bigger video on the Russian Orthodox Church and Putin coming out saying, damn the Jews are responsible for this and that. And I'll give you the rundown of what Putin really is. And I know a lot about the Russian Orthodox Church and the Russian Orthodox Church outside Russia, the Rokor. Once you understand that system of control, they're in the bag now. Putin's got nowhere to go. They never had anywhere to go. They got suckered. You can't go against the $1 trillion US military-industrial complex. You just can't go against it, except when you're Israel and you've backdoored everything. But even that's off now. That's completely off. But they've got to dismantle that system. This is, you get ready for multiple decades. I suggest get into your thick skull this. Start thinking in terms of 20, 30, 40, and 50 years to fix this problem. And you'll say, well, the Jesus is coming. I'm sorry. He ain't coming for a long time yet. Not for a long time. Not in the way you think. 70 years minimum. And for those of you religiously inclined, I suggest you have a good hard think that God is watching. And he never said, by the way, he said, be of good cheer. He didn't say lie around and do nothing. He said, be of good cheer, for these things must come to pass. But there's also something else that you need to think about as a human being with consciousness. If you have read your Old Testament, New Testament, Old Testament Jewish Tanakh and the New Testament, then you must know that God created conscious human beings. You must know from the book of Job that one of the most vital things to be is to be a friend of God. It's the most moving passages I love, to be a friend of God. A friend, not to be ruled over, but to be a friend of God, a co-creationist. There's Jesus, the incarnation himself, saying to his friends, a master does not tell his servants what he is doing. I have told you all things. I'm not your master, I am your friend. And that is the continuing theme from the book of Job all the way then to that point. To be a friend of God, to have consciousness. Why don't you start thinking, instead of being an unthinking moron that sits there, whether it's the Quran or Bible or whatever you're reading, to think that just by being a robot, an anxious little obsessively compulsive cleaning child where you run around and clean your house from top to bottom, but I don't mind that one. I think that's a good one. I got the moon in Virgo, so giving things a good clean. I understand the obsessive compulsive stuff. We're not in the age of rule following. Rule following will not save you. If I'm a good boy and I'm a good little girl and I follow the rules, God Daddy will love me. And I will be loved and I will have value. God already loves you. And getting rid, it's a lifetime's work to say you don't have to prove yourself. God already loves you. Relax, tranquilo. Now co-create with God. What does God want? Be moved by the Holy Spirit. Wisdom, she sits by the gates. We're entering a time of incredible change. Be a part of it. Be of good cheer. You don't sit on your backside and watch it happen. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been great chatting as we move into the festive year. No matter your race or religion, no matter what you're doing, I urge you to enjoy yourself to a large degree, whether you're at a cheap Chinese restaurant with your Jewish friends or you are shopping in our consumerist, pathetic society. There's still good to be had in terms of eating a good meal, drinking a few halal whiskies, and singing an Irish song at the pub. And make sure you got your solar panels. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll talk again very, very soon. Thank you for all your support. I know I'm a grumpy shit half the time. It is changing. I've got my psychologist appointment very soon, and I'm optimistic for the future because I just had 2 coffees. Talk again real soon. It's all a fraud. Let's move to a new system and be a part of it. Talk again soon. Have a good time during this part of the year.